So in the morning lecture, we had completed about 5 problems of marginal costing. Let us go ahead now with question number 6. We'll start with. Starting with question number 6. They have given that investment for a project is 20 crores. Selling price per unit is 400 rupees with a variable cost of 240 and a fixed cost of 23 lakhs per annum. Now let us read the question properly. If the required rate of return is 12%, what will be the break-even point for a lifespan of 6 years? Now, normally what a student would do is he will calculate break-even point with the normal formula fixed cost upon PV ratio or fixed cost upon contribution per unit. But if you read the question once again, they have said if the required rate of return is 12%, what will be the BEP? So now the break-even point in this case means that level of sales which is required to cover the fixed cost and the profit. Okay, normally it is only fixed cost divided by PV ratio or fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. But in this problem, the question itself is framed in such a manner that they are asking if the required rate of return is 12%, then what will be the break-even point for life of 6 years? So, if they just wanted you to calculate break-even point, they would not have framed the question like this. They would have just said, point number 1, calculate break-even point. Because we just have to divide fixed cost by PV ratio. But since they have mentioned very clearly that we require a return of 12% on investment. Okay, so this question and each question you have to read very carefully, because break-even point means normally that level of sales which is required to cover fixed cost. But a break-even point also means that if I'm having a fixed target like this, that I have to get minimum 12% returns, then break-even point will be that point where I consider the rate of return. Maybe that I have taken a loan for my business. Let us take an example why this is going to come so. Maybe that I have taken a loan for my business, and that loan for my business has got a rate of interest of 12%. So I should, and that loan I have invested in this business, 20 crores. Okay. So if I've taken a loan of 20 crores, I have to pay 12% interest on that. And that 20 crores is invested in this business. Then the interest becomes a fixed factor for me, which I have to recover from my investment. Remember cost of capital that we did in inter-CMA. Then we said that fixed cost is that cost which is going to remain fixed at all levels of production. So whatever may be your level of production, interest of 12% has to be recovered because I have to pay that interest to my borrowers, to those who have funded my investment. So in that case, break-even point in this type of question will be fixed cost plus required profit upon EV ratio or contribution per unit. Okay. Second one, if the project building period is 2 years with 60% of capital invested in the first year, then what is the project BEP production and sales volume? So let us start with the first one. first what we'll write is break-even point. In this case, refers to, is the answer for the first one, refers to the point of sales required to recover the fixed cost and the annual returns. Investment in the project equals to 20 crores. That 20 crores is nothing but 2000 lakhs. 20 crores is equal to 2000 lakhs. Annual returns required is equal to 12% of 2000 lakhs. That is 240 lakhs. Am I right? Yes or no? Don't write. Just tell me whether I'm correct or not.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Answer is not correct. I'll tell you why. This annual returns required is not correct. Now, the reason for that is, again, let us come back to the question. Okay. Let us see what I told you. I said that in this question, break-even point means that level of sales which I have to earn to cover my fixed cost as well as my desired return. And what example I've given to you? I've given you the example that suppose I have taken a loan of 20 crores and I've invested in the business. Then I have to pay the interest on that. And if I have to pay the interest for that, what is the amount of, how many years I have to pay interest on that? They have said, what will be the break-even point for a lifespan of 6 years? For a lifespan of 6 years. Problem is very small, but don't go by the size of the problem, because small problems create big problems for us. Break-even point for a lifespan of 6 years. Normally, the break-even point that we calculate is, as of now, when we are calculating, when will we achieve break-even point? That is what we calculate. But here it is something different. We are calculating break-even point for a lifespan of 6 years. That means I have to, understand what I'm saying? That means I have to repay the amount of 20 crores along with interest on that over a period of 6 years. Otherwise, why will they mention that it is for a period of 6 years? Break-even point for 6 years. They would have normally mentioned calculate break-even point. And they would have not mentioned the years, because break-even point for a business is never calculated in number of years. Normal break-even point is when will I have reached a point where there is no profit, no loss, so that after that point I start making profit. After that point I start making profit. But here I'm saying I want break-even point for a lifespan of 6 years, which means that I have to recover the fixed cost that is incurred, plus the fixed installments that I'm going to pay on account of my principal plus my interest. You followed now? So the question is asking us to calculate a break-even point for a lifespan of 6 years. So it will be the annual returns required will be the annuity. In other words, it is going to be the annuity required. So how to calculate annuity? I will calculate annuity like this. 2000 I have to recover along with interest. So divide by PVIFA at 12% for 6 years. 2000 lakhs divided by annuity factor, because my installment amount is going to remain constant. Okay. So what is that annuity factor that I have to find out? What is this formula? It is nothing but your formula that you have already learned in time value of money. Present value is equal to annuity into, this is your normal formula, into PVIFA. So I require this annuity. So I take PVIFA on the other side. So present value upon PVIFA is equal to annuity. Okay. So present value of the loan is what? Present value of the loan is 2000 upon the PVIFA factor. This is what I have done. Are you able to understand what I am saying? Are you yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
Who is not understood?
No, sir.
Prasad, you have not understood. Okay.
No, sir, not understood.
Okay. See, here what has happened is, we have said break-even point in this case refers to the point of sales required to recover the fixed cost and the annual returns. Now, what is this returns? This annual returns means normally I don't calculate the annual returns, or I don't calculate the desired profit for calculating break-even point. But the question has been framed in such a manner that if the required rate of return is 12%, what will be the break-even point for a life of 6 years? Which means that it implies that, what does it imply? It implies that maybe I have taken this 20 crores as a loan. Okay, this 2000 lakhs I have taken as a loan as of now. So present value of loan is 2000 lakhs. Okay, now I have to repay this 2000 lakhs in 6 equal installments along with interest, which means that I will be having 6 equal installments, which will be in the form of annuity. And for that, the rate of interest is 12%, and number of years is 6 years. So I use the formula, present value is equal to annuity into, this is the formula that we have learned for time value of money in interest, into PVIFA, present value interest factor of annuity, at K rate of interest for n years. Present value of the loan is 2000 lakhs. I have to find out this annuity. What is this annuity actually? It is installment, which is made up of principal plus interest. Okay. So this annuity I have to find out into PVIFA at 12% rate of interest for 6 years, which I have to give. So I get my annuity answer as 2000 divided by PVIFA at 12% for 6 years.
Understood, sir. Understood. Got it, sir.
Praveen, have you understood?
Yes, sir.
So this is the entire thing. So as I said, problem is small, but understanding the problem takes a little bit of time, because you have to see what is the question given, how the question has been framed, what are the words used in the question, And accordingly, I will have to frame my answer for that. So this is a different type of problem. Break-even point, they have not asked for the business. They have asked break-even point for a period of 6 years. That means the loan has to be repaid for a period of 6 years. And therefore, I have to calculate the annuity value of that loan. Okay? Now, let us calculate this now. 2000 divided by annuity factor at 12% for 6 years. How to calculate? 1 divided by 1.12 equal to function 6 times. And then GT function of your calculator. That comes to 4.1114. Just check.
Yes.
So 2000 divided by 4.1114 equals to 486.45 lakhs. 486.45 lakhs. So this is what I have to recover every year from the business, which I need to pay from whomsoever I have borrowed. So if I borrowed from bank, I have to pay the bank this much amount, which includes principal plus interest. Okay. So now, this is the annual returns required. Let us calculate contribution per unit.
$160, sir.
Yeah. So it is 400 minus 240. 160. So BEP sales, or you can write in bracket required sales, is equal to fixed cost plus required annual returns divided by contribution per unit. Fixed cost is 23 lakhs plus 486.5 lakhs upon contribution per unit is 160. So 23 plus 486.5 divided by 160. 3.184375 lakhs, or in other words, 3,18,438. Okay. Now let us come to second part of the question.
Sir, divided by contribution per unit.
Units, no sir, it's
Units.
Oh, sorry. Three lakh 18,438 units.
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah.
How do we know that we are supposed to find the number of units or number of sales? In the question, they just ask break-even point.
You can calculate
How
the
do we know
you
whether
can
it is
calculate
units or?
no problem. You can calculate the value of sales also. But for that, you'll have to calculate PV ratio. Even that answer, if you given rupees also, it is correct. Either way, it will be given correct.
So there is no need to be doing just once with when there is no specification.
No, you can do anyway. Either you can take it in units or you can take it in number of units or amount of sales. Either way.
Because previously in Inter, when we used to do sums, we usually calculate with PV ratio so that we can find out the sales.
Huh. You can do that. That is why I said both answers are correct.
Okay.
But if you see the question, the nature of the question, the indication is not for asking you the value of sales. The objective, if you see, is they have asked you that how much should be the break-even point if I have to recover this much amount. Then obviously the indication, it is clearly indicating something that they want how many units should be produced and sold. Okay. And if you see the second part of the question, project building period is 2 years. What is the project BEP production and sales volume they appear? So there also they require the volume, the quantity. So obviously the first part also we'll calculate the quantity. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Now, second part of the question is again a little bit more interesting than the first part. What they have said. They have said if the project building period is 2 years, with 60% of the capital invested in the first year, what is the project BEP production and sales volume? Now, what does this mean? See, I told you, whenever problem is big enough, it is a very simple problem. Whenever problem is small, it is difficult problem because a small problem does not reveal much data. So we have to remove the implications from that small problem. What is it implying? In a big problem, all the data is given to us. So we just have to put in the figures. So what is the second part of the question saying? If the project building period is 2 years, with 60% of capital invested in the first year, what is the project BEP production and sales volume? What does it imply? Okay, let us see what does it imply. And what have we done actually in the first part? The first part we have said that I'm starting the project now. It will be going on for a period of 6 years. Okay, I'm starting the project now. It is going to go on for 6 years. And every year I have to pay some amount. That is my annuity. So I have to recover my fixed cost plus that annuity. Okay. Second part they are saying. That means what is that annuity actually? It is what I'm going to pay as interest on the loan. And how that interest is calculated? Interest is calculated on the outstanding balance of the loan. Normal cases, what happens? I take, for instance, I take a loan of 1 lakh. Okay, let us keep it simple. Rate of interest is 10%. And I am paying 10,000 rupees principal in equal installments. So principal amount is 10,000. I will be calculating interest on 1 lakh. So 10% of 1 lakh is 10,000. So my total installment becomes 20,000. Now second, I am paying 90,000 is outstanding in the second period. So on 90,000, I calculate 10%, so that is 9,000. Principal amount is same, 10,000. This comes to 19,000. Now, suppose my installment is same. My installment is same. Okay, my installment is fixed as 20,000. Then what I do is, interest is calculated 20 minus 10, principal is 10. Second year, this is 9,000 interest. Installment is going to remain 20,000. 20 minus 9, principal is 11,000. Third year, it is 90 minus 11, that is 79,000. 7,900. Okay, 20,000 installment. And like this, I will be going on. That means every year I am calculating interest on this outstanding balance. Now, what is going to happen? Now, what is going to happen? Is that, why I am telling you all this? Because I am calculating interest on the balance every year. Now, in the second part of the question, when they have framed the question in this manner, first of all, what do they imply? Project life is 6 years only. Project life is 6 years. But they are saying if the project building period is 2 years, with 60% of capital invested in year 1, then what is the project break-even point? Again, project break-even point is the same, fixed cost plus annual returns required. But how to solve? And what is the amount that I'm looking for? First of all, it means that project building period is 2 years. So project is not going to give me revenue for the first 2 years. Okay. So that means till the project building is over, I cannot start working on the project. I cannot get revenues from the project. So I assume that out of 6 years, first 2 years have already passed. Out of 6 years, first 2 years have already passed. And I am standing at the beginning of 3rd year. Or at the end of 2nd year. Beginning of 3rd year or end of 2nd year. Now, if that is the case, then what is my initial investment? What is my initial investment? So can you tell me what is going to be my initial investment? How to calculate initial investment? How to calculate my initial investment? So once again I repeat, life of the project is 6 years. But in the second case, they are saying that project building requires 2 years. You cannot immediately start with the project as we have assumed in the first case. In the first case, I assume that I start the project now, immediately it starts giving me returns. So my initial investment was 20 crores. Now I'm saying that 60% of the amount I have invested in the first year. 60% of the amount I've invested in the first year. And it implies that the 40% amount will be invested in the second year. It implies that 40% amount will be invested in the second year. After the first year and the second year, from the 3rd year onwards, the project starts giving me cash flows for 6 years. From 3rd year onwards, the project starts giving me cash flows for 6 years. So what is my initial investment? So when I'm talking about initial investment, I'm talking about initial investment as on which date? Just decide that.
End of 2nd year.
Yes, end of 2nd year. Or beginning.
So
2 years principal, 2 years interest will be calculated, added to the principal.
Yes.
first for the 60% of the investment,
Yes.
we'll take 2 years, and for the other 40% of the investment, we'll take 1 year. 1 year of rate of return.
Absolutely.
Then we'll add both of them.
Yes, absolutely right. So let us do the second part of the question. Right now. In this case, project life is 6 years. But project building period is 2 years. Project building period is 2 years. So it is assumed. project building period of 2 years. Project building period of 2 years is over, and the returns will start from current year. And returns will start from current year for 6 years. Okay, therefore, initial investment first year 60% of 20 crores, that is 2000 lakhs, into 1.12 raised to 2 years. So that comes to 1505.28 lakhs. Second year, I will be investing the balance 40% of 2000 lakhs and interest for that for 1 year. ₹896 lakhs. So 2401.28 lakhs. So expected annual returns that is equal to, that is my annuity, is equal to 2401.28 divided by annuity factor, EVIFA, at 12% for 6 years. This will remain the same. So 2401.28 divided by annuity factor is going to be 4.1114. 2408, 2401.28 divided by 4.1114. 583.68. $583.68 lakhs. So break-even point is equal to fixed cost, that is given to me as 23 lakhs plus 583.68 divided by contribution per unit, that is 160. So it is 3,79,175 units. This is the volume of production and sales required.
The question.
Yes. Tell me.
So the returns will start coming from the end of third year.
End of third year.
So the returns will be coming in total from 4 years.
No, 6 years.
So what are we calculating?
From the starting of the project life is 6 years. Project life
Okay.
is not affected by the 2 building years. After the project is over, after like for example, you are constructing a let us say a road, toll, you can say a highway, an expressway, and on that expressway, the construction takes about 2 years to complete the entire expressway, and then the toll will start from the completion for 6 years. Okay, so it is like that. The lifespan of the project will be 6 years. But since it has taken 2 years for building, after 2 years, 6 years will start. In the first case, the 6 years are starting from first year only. Okay. In the second case, 2 years are going on for construction. And then from that third year onwards, you start getting the returns for 6 years.
But now the returns, the annual returns, you're spreading it for all the 6 years, but you're not getting any revenue for the first 2 years.
No, the first 2 years, interest will
because you're dividing with 6 years annually, sir.
No. See, what I'm saying is that whatever is invested for the first 2 years, we have calculated the interest on that. So that will also be incurred. That will also be recovered. That interest is also recovered. So that interest plus the 6 years interest, total amount is recovered. Because when I calculate 2401.28, it includes the interest of the first 2 years. The building period years, not first 2 years, the building period years. Plus, I'm also collecting the interest for the next 6 years. So that is that amount of 583.68 lakhs will include principal amount plus interest for the first 2 years of building plus interest amount of the remaining 6 years. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
Now, coming to question number 7. This is a conceptual question. Two companies, H&L, have the same values for turnover and net profit and make a similar product. Try to understand the question because no hint is given in the question, nothing is given in the question. So they are saying that two companies, H&L, are having the same values for turnover and net profit, and they make a similar product. Both of them make the similar product. H has a higher PV ratio than L. H has a higher PV ratio than L. Which company will perform better when market demand is high and when market demand is low? Think and answer. First, tell me which concept is involved here. Which is the concept involved?
Fixed cost.
Which one?
No, not really. Sir, when the market demand is high, when the sales are high, the project with better PV ratio is better off. Sorry, the company with the better PV ratio.
First, tell me what concept is involved. Concept is very important.
Sir, I feel that then the variable cost matters here. I mean, market, if it is high demand high, for PV ratio, I mean, profit will be same. It means fixed cost will be same.
First, Prasad, tell
The
me what
contribution will be changed.
which
The change
concept
in
is
variable
important?
cost is changing contribution.
The concept involved here is of indifference point. So if your concept is clear, then answer will come like this. First, indifference point. Why? Because two companies have same sales value for turnover and same net profit and make similar product. If two companies are making same net profit and they are having the same turnover and they are making the same product, then I'm indifferent to the two companies. I'm indifferent to the two companies. Whether I invest in H or L, it doesn't make a difference. So the concept involved here is of indifference point. Now, immediately, as soon as indifference point comes, I told you what significance of indifference point is important. Okay? Significance of indifference point is important. So 3 points are there. You can just refer to your notes. Significance of indifference point, that is given, I think, on page number 68. Okay? Page number 68. Let us come to page number 68. Page number 68. Can you see this? Significance of indifference point, important. Because I told you that this is going to come for interpretation. If the level of sales is at IP, then both options are equally profitable. If the level of sales is higher than the indifference point, then the option with the higher PV ratio should be selected, since the higher PV ratio, the better it is. If the level of sales is below the indifference point, then the option with the lower fixed cost should be selected. Since the lower the fixed cost, lower will be the BP, more profits will be earned beyond BP. Now, since both the companies have the same sales value and net profit, company H, which has a higher PV ratio, will be having a lower variable cost. Higher PV ratio. See this, higher PV ratio, lower variable cost. Okay? So the level of sales is high, higher than the indifference point. Then I would select, that means my market demand is more. In other words, my market demand is more. So the market demand is more, it means that it is more than the indifference point. Then in that case, I should select company H when market demand is more. When market demand is less, then company L will be better, because that has got a lower PV ratio or a lower fixed cost. Okay? So this is what I said, that, see, learning the formulas is one, and learning the significance of that particular concept is the second thing that you will do. Learning the formulas. Most often what we do is we learn the formulas, we buy the formulas, but we don't see the significance part of this, because this is required for commenting. This is required for interpretation. Okay? So let us write down the answer for this. There is no calculation in this problem. There is only the concept involved here. Let us write down the answer. Write down. Since the two companies H and L since the two companies H and L have the same values, have the same sales values, have the same sales value, and same net profit, and same net profit, and make a similar product, and make a similar product, comma. It's a case of indifference point. It's a case of indifference point. Okay, then you write point number 1. If market demand is high, then company with higher PV ratio should be selected. Therefore, company H will perform better. When market demand is high. Second, since company L has a comparatively lower PV ratio, comma, company L will perform better. When market demand is low. Since it will have a lower break-even point. That's the answer for question 7. So this is a conceptual question. Nothing is there, no calculations, nothing. It's just a conceptual question just to analyze and see whether you have understood the point of indifference point properly or not. Okay, nothing is there in the question. Let us come to question number 8. Question number 8. XY Limited makes two products X and Y, whose respective fixed costs are given as F1 and F2. So F1 for X and F2 for Y. You are given that the unit's contribution of Y is 1/5 less than the unit contribution of X. That the total of F1 and F2 is 1,50,000. That the break-even point of X is 1800 units. That is, for break-even of X, F2 is not considered because F2 is for other product. And that 3000 units is the indifference point between X and Y. That means X and Y make equal profits at 3000 units volume, considering the respective fixed cost. There is no inventory buildup, as whatever is produced is sold, no opening and closing stock. You are required to find out the values of F1 and F2 and the unit contribution of X and Y. Okay, I'll give you 5 minutes. See if you can solve the problem. Total of F1 and F2 is given 1,50,000. Break-even point is given of X, 1800 units. Indifference point is given 3000 units. So tell me, what are the fixed costs F1 and F2 representing? And what is the per unit contribution of product X and product Y? you have to make use of whatever data is given. That means you have to make use of the concept of break-even point. You have to make use of the concept of indifference point. How to start? I will say, let the contribution per unit. See, I don't have to make use of any other concepts other than what they have given to me. So let the contribution per unit of products X and Y be represented as small x and small y. Okay. Now, first what they have given. So I'm making use of the data, exactly what data they have given. They have given that contribution of y, per unit contribution of y is 1/5 less than per unit contribution of x. So, unit contribution of product y is 1/5 less than that of product X. Okay. So from this particular statement, I get one equation. That equation is y is equal to x minus 1/5 of x. Therefore, y is equal to 4/5 of x. Okay. I will call this as equation 1. Now, second thing that they have given to me, total fixed cost is equal to 1,50,000, which means F1 plus F2 is equal to 1,50,000. So I call this as equation number 2. Now I have got third thing that they have given to me is break-even point of X is 1800 units. Break-even point of product X is 1800 units. So what is the formula for break-even point in units? Break-even point is equal to fixed cost of X, that is F1, okay, upon contribution per unit of X. Fixed cost of this is F1, contribution is X. Therefore, F1 is equal to 1800x. I call this as result number 3. F1 is equal to 1800x. So I've taken the first condition that they have given, contribution of y is 1/5 less than contribution of x. I've taken the second condition that they have given, total of fixed cost is 1,50,000. Third condition that they have given, break-even point of x is 1800 units. Fourth condition that they have given, indifference point between x and y is 3000 units. Okay, so I make use of that fourth condition. Indifference point. Indifference point between x and y is 3000 units. So formula for indifference point, one formula is change in fixed cost. Change in fixed cost upon change in contribution per unit. This is one of the formula, or difference in fixed cost upon difference in contribution per unit. This is equal to 3000 units. Change in fixed cost.
So can I get contribution per unit?
F1 minus F2 divided by x minus y is equal to 3000.
So
Yes.
can I give you contribution per unit that I got?
Contribution per unit, how much you have got?
50.
Yes. 50 and 40. X minus y. X minus y is equal to 4/5 of x is equal to 3000. F1 minus F2. X minus 4/5 of x is 1/5 of x. Cross multiply. F1 minus F2 is equal to 600x. Result number 4. Now, F1 I have got here as 1800x. So I substitute this 3 in 4 now. F1 is 1800x. 1800x minus F2 is equal to 600x. So F2 is equal to 1800 minus 600. That is 1200x. Result number 5. What I do? Result number 3 and result number 5. Okay, I substitute in result number 2. Result number 3 and result number 5. I substitute in result number 2. Substitute. Three and 5 in result 2. F1 plus F2 is equal to 1,50,000. F1 I have got is 1800x. F2 I have got is 1200x. Is equal to 1,50,000. So 3000x is equal to 1,50,000. X is equal to 50. Therefore, contribution per unit of product X is rupees 50. Now y is equal to 4/5 of x. So 4 by 5 into 50. 40. Therefore, contribution per unit of product Y is rupees 40. You can solve the problem anyhow, but answer should come correct. You can solve by your own method, which may be different from this method. Answer, as long as that comes correct, we are not concerned. F1 plus F2 is 1,50,000. F1 is equal to 1800x. It is 1800 into 50. 90,000 rupees. F2 is equal to 1200x. It is 1200 into 50. That is 60,000. Total of this is 1,50,000. So we have got both. So one of you have got the answers. I don't know whether you have followed the same method, but irrespective of the method, if you are getting the answers, well and good. It is a good sign that you are able to solve the problems and get the answers independently. Any questions? Anything that you have not understood?
So are we going to do all 50 problems in class?
All 50 problems are not going to do. I will be doing around 30 to 40 problems max.
Okay.
So similar questions you can do at home.
Yes.
And I think, as far as, see, what has happened is marginal costing or decision making this topic. Even if you do all 50 problems, this is my nature, I'm saying. Even after doing all the very first batch of CA final, I had done all 50 problems. Whatever was there, I solved. But even then, I did not get satisfaction. After doing 52 problems also, I did not get satisfaction because every problem is of a different type. Every problem is of a different type. So there can be other questions also beyond 50 questions. So basically, what is the objective of doing maximum problems here is to develop your thinking capacity. Nothing beyond that. Problems are not mechanical. No problems are mechanical. No problems are having the same method of starting. But it gives you an insight as to how to think. Your thinking process develops. The more problems you do, the more your thinking process develops. So, as I can see that one or two of you are able to solve the problems without my help, and you are getting the correct answers. So that means you have already started in the process. So in that case, around 32, you need not do 50 problems, all 50 problems. Even if you do 30 problems with me in the class, That is more than sufficient. Okay. So practice is only to make you think as to how to start a problem, what calculations are required, what items are to be noted in the question. So only for that purpose you are solving as many problems as possible, because you are having a lot of new concepts. Indifference point is a new concept. Shutdown point is a new concept. So on that you have not done questions in the inter-CMA. You have done questions on calculation of break-even point, margin of safety, all these normal things, PV ratio and all these things. So I'm concentrating more on indifference point, shutdown point, like those types of questions. Make or buy decisions, product mix. Okay. So those type of questions I'm concentrating more at the final level, because that is more important, because we are now dealing with decision-making process. We are not dealing with only margin costing. In inter-CMA, we are dealing only with margin costing. So problems of calculation of PV ratio, break-even point, margin of safety, all that was important. But now we are using application of that for decision-making purpose. Okay, we'll take a small break of 5 minutes, 5 minutes break, and then we'll continue. Now, we have got 3 machines here, M1, M2 and M3. See what we want, the indifference points between M1 and M2 and M2 and M3 and M1 and M3. So 3 calculations will be done. First one, right, A, between M1 and M2. Indifference point is equal to difference in fixed cost or change in fixed cost. Difference in fixed cost upon difference in variable cost. Difference in fixed cost upon difference in variable cost. Difference in fixed cost, 250,000 minus 150,000. 250,000 minus 150,000 is 1 lakh between M1 and M2. And contribution per unit, it is difference in variable cost, 100 and 200. We are not concerned with the sign over here. Difference in variable cost, 100 rupees. So it is equal to 1000 units. Same way I'll calculate between M1 sorry, M2 and M3. Indifference point is equal to difference in fixed cost between M2 and M3, 150 and 70, that is 80,000. Difference in variable cost, M2 and M3, 200 and 400, that is 200. So it is 400 units. The last combination between M1 and M3. Difference in fixed cost, 250 minus 70, 1,80,000. And 100 and 400, that is 300. So that comes to 600 units. So analysis of the cost for the three machines where the cost indifference points are there. What is meant by that? See, I have got 4 points now. 3 points now. 400, 600 and 1000. Now what I do is, I will take some figure, the range that I'm having. I'm having less than 400, between 400 and 600. Okay, or you can say less than 400, at 400, I can calculate. Then between 400 and 600, I can calculate. Or I can calculate between 400 and 1000 directly. So that 600 is covered. I don't need this in that case. 400 to 1000 I can take. And I can take any figure between 400 and 1000. Okay. Here when I take less than 400, I can take any figure. I can take 200 units or I can take 300 units. Any figure I can take. At 400, exactly 400 units. Between 400 and 1000, I can take any units. I can take 500, I can take 600. Okay. Any units I can take. Then I will take at 1000. I'll try to keep it minimum calculations. At 1000, that is at this point. And then I will take greater than 1000. Now, greater than 1000, I have got the number of units given to me. Annual production is 1200 units.
Sir, your video got stuck when you're explaining this part.
Okay. So, as I said, we are having 3 points here, 400, 600 and 1000. So, I will take the range. One, less than 400. The minimum is 400, maximum is 1000. So, less than 400, I will take as first one. At 400, I will take the second one. Third, I can take either 400 to 600. But if I take 400 to 600, I will have to take one more, 600 to 1000. So I want to simplify the calculations because my actual figure is more than 1000 also. So I will take the second range as 400 to 1000. Alternatively, you can add one more. You can say 400 to 600 and 600 to 1000. No problem. But that will increase my calculations. Then I will take at 1000, the fourth one. And I will take more than 1000 as the fifth option. So 5 options I will got. 5 calculations I have to make at these different ranges. The total cost that will be incurred. Fixed cost plus variable cost for all the 3 machines, M1, M2 and M3. Okay. So this is because they have asked us to calculate the cost indifference points. Cost indifference points. And what is the expected level of annual production? That is the cost that is going to be there for the annual production if it is 1200 units. Okay. Most economical means at 1200 units, which machine is giving me the minimum figure of cost that I have to select. Okay. So we'll have to do all this because they have asked us for the ranges. And then out of this last one, this particular case, I have to see which machine M1, M2 or M3 is giving me the minimum total cost. Total cost means variable cost plus fixed cost. Okay. So let us do this. Prepare a statement. Analysis of cost for 3 machines. M1, M2, M3. So range I have told you, one is less than 400, then at 400, then 400 to 1000, at 1000 and greater than 1000. So I take case 1. Less than 400 units. Now you can take any figure. You can take 100 units, you can take 200 units, you can take 250 units. If you are a little bit crazy, you can take 272 units. You know, figure can be anything. But for rounding up, I will take a round figure 300 units. Now, fixed cost. I have to calculate total cost, fixed cost and variable cost. Fixed cost will remain the same, 250, 150 and 70. 2,50,000, 1,50,000 and 70,000. Variable cost. If it is machine 1, it is 100 rupees. So 100 into 300, that will be 30,000. For machine 2 M2, it is 200. So 200 into 300, that is 60,000. And then 400 into 300, that is 1,20,000. So this will be 2,80,000. 2,10,000. 1,90,000. This is what you are doing for calculating the cost indifference points. Okay, cost indifference points. Second, I'll take at 400. Fixed cost will remain the same. That is 2,50,000, 1,50,000 and 70,000. Variable cost. $100 into 400 is 40,000. 200 into 400 is 80,000. 400 into 400 is 1,60,000. So it is 2,90,000, 2,30,000 and 2,30,000. Between 400 and 1,000. I'll take a round figure, 500. Fixed cost. Or what we can do is we can take 600 also, no problem. Because 600 is one of the points that we are having. Fixed cost, 2,50,000, 1,50,000 and 70. Variable cost 100 into 600 is 60,000. Then this is 1,20,000. 40 into 6, 2,40,000. So 3,10,000, 2,70,000, 3,10,000. Okay. Now what you can see over here is the cost indifference points. Cost indifference point. See, between M2 and M3 it was 400. M2 and M3. So M2 and M3 figures are same. 2,30,000, 2,30,000. Now here I've taken 600. 600 is actually the indifference point between M1 and M3. Okay, M1 and M3. So M1 and M3 cost is same. So this is how you are getting cost indifferent points for the machines. Okay, now next I'll take at 1,000 units. Fixed cost 2,50,000, 1,50,000 and 70. Variable cost 100 into 1,000, 1 lakh. 200 into 1,000, 2 lakhs. 400 into 1,000, 4 lakhs. Three lakh 50. 3,50,000. 4,70,000. So here the cost indifference is between M1 and M2. M1 and M2. 1,000 units. M1 and M2. More than 1,000. And I now take the figure that I want, 1,200 units given to me in the question. Because I have to find out which is the most economical machine over here. So fixed cost remains the same. 250, 150, 70. Variable cost 100 into 1,200 is 1,20,000. This will be 2,40,000. This will be 4,80,000. Here the cost difference will not be there. Here we have to find out which is economical. 3,70,000 here. 3,90,000 here. And 5,50,000 here. Most economical. So write down the answer. At expected level of production, at expected level of production of 1,200 units, of 1200 units. Machine M1 is the most economical alternative. Machine M1 is the most economical alternative to replace the old machine. To replace the old machine. Okay. So that is your question number 9. Let us take the last question. Question number 10. You'll find that every question is having something different. No two questions are having the same type of solution. New Limited plans to completely manufacture a single product Z, whose selling price and variable manufacturing cost is 100 rupees and 80 rupees per unit respectively. If the complete production is done at its own factory, the fixed machine cost will be 3,62,000 and fixed administration and selling overheads will be 30,000 for the production period. Alternatively, the product can be finished outside by subcontracting the machine operations at 10 rupees per unit. Okay, but this will entail an increase in fixed administration overheads by 1,20,000 while fully avoiding the machining cost of 3,62,000. So that means administration overheads will increase. Okay, increase in administration overheads by 1,20,000. So 1,20,000 plus 30, it will come to 1,50,000. Okay, and 3,62,000 will be completely avoided in that case. So you will not incur that expenditure. Based on the above figures and assuming a production capacity of 30,000 units for the production period, advised with relevant supporting figures from a financial perspective, for what volumes of market demand will a manufacturer be recommended at all? Second, a fully in-house production will be recommended. And third, subcontracting option will be recommended. Manufacturing will be recommended at all. That means whether product should be produced or not. First, that decision we have to take. Second, when will you advise in-house production? And third, when will you advise subcontracting option? So 3 questions are there. So tell me how to answer. What will I do? What is required? Manufacturer be recommended at all means what? Manufacturer will be recommended at all means what? When will you recommend manufacturer?
When the demand is at break-even point.
When you are above the break-even point.
Yeah, above the break-even.
Okay.
Demand is more than break-even point.
Yes. So if you are operating above the break-even point, then you will recommend the manufacturer of the product. Okay. So my first objective now is to calculate the break-even point. Fine. So let us prepare a statement of analysis with particulars and 2 columns. The first column here is in-house production. In-house production. Second column is subcontracting. Subcontracting. Selling price per unit. All workings carry marks, so don't do anything directly. Selling price per unit. Okay. Now, selling price per unit in both the cases, whether we are doing in-house production or subcontracting, is going to be 100 rupees. It's going to be 100 rupees in both the cases. Okay. Minus variable cost per unit. If it is in-house production, 80 rupees. But if it is subcontracting, they have said that product can be finished outside by subcontracting the machine operations at 10 rupees per unit. So that means that will be the additional variable cost. So 80 rupees plus 10 rupees will make it 90 rupees here. So contribution per unit. Contribution per unit. 20 and 10. PV ratio. C upon S into 100. 20 upon 100 into 100. That is 20%. Here it is 10%. Fixed cost. Fixed cost, if it is in-house production, 3,62,000 machine cost, and fixed admin and selling overheads 30,000, so 3,92,000. If it is subcontracted, machine cost of 3,62,000 fully avoided. But fixed administration and selling overheads are going to increase by 120. So 30 plus 120, 1,50,000. Next, I'll calculate break-even point in units. Formula. Fixed cost upon contribution per unit. $3,92,000 divided by 20%. Sorry, divided by 20 rupees. 19,600 units. One lakh 50,000 divided by 10, 15,000 units. Now also calculate indifference point. Difference in fixed cost. Upon difference in variable cost or contribution per unit. Difference in fixed cost 392 minus 1,50,000, 2,42,000. Difference in variable cost or contribution 80 and 90, difference is 10, 20 and 10, difference is 10. $24,200 units. Okay. Now, very interesting question. First one is, manufacturer will be recommended at all. At what volume? So answer for that is very simple. If I'm going for in-house production, I will recommend the manufacturer if the demand is 19,600 units or more. Okay. If I'm going for subcontracting, then I will recommend a manufacturer only if the demand is 15,000 units or more. Okay. So let us write down. If market demand, this is the answer for the first one. If market demand is 15,000 units or more, so 15,000 units or more, manufacture by subcontracting is recommended. Manufacture by subcontracting is recommended. Full stop. In-house production will be recommended. In-house production will be recommended only if market demand is 19,600 units or more. Is 19,600 units or more. Now understand second question. When will you recommend a fully in-house production? When will you recommend a fully in-house production? A fully in-house production in such a case will be recommended 100% if the market demand is more than the indifference point of 24,200 units. Once again, I repeat. If market demand is more than the indifference point of 24,200 units, because variable cost, your PV ratio is higher. Your PV ratio for in-house production is 20% as compared to 10% for subcontracting. So that is why the indifference point is calculated. If the market demand is in excess of the indifference point of 24,200 units, then I will go for in-house production at all cost. Because higher PV ratio means more profit, less variable cost, more profits. Okay? Write down the answer to the second. A fully in-house production in-house production will be recommended. If market demand is in excess of, if market demand is in excess of 24,200 units, excess of 24,200 units, since option with higher PV ratio, option with higher PV ratio is preferred above the indifference point, Okay. Now, third one, subcontracting option, when will that be recommended? If it is below the indifference point, meaning it is less than 24,200, but it cannot be less than 15,000 because 15,000 is a break-even point. So the range will be 15,200 to 24,200. Sorry, 15,000 to 24,200. Okay, so write down. The subcontracting option will be recommended. The subcontracting option will be recommended if the market demand is between 15,000 to 24,200 units. 15,000 to 24,200 units. Since below the indifference point option, below the indifference point, option with lower fixed cost, is preferred. Option with lower fixed cost is preferred. Okay. So, when you're coming for lecture tomorrow, you have to again go through the recommendations of the significance of the indifference point, the significance of shutdown point. All these things you have to go through again so that you are able to write the answers for the questions, because application of these things, not only the formula, but application interpretation is required. Okay. So we'll stop here for today. Tomorrow, 10 o'clock again, we'll continue with the remaining questions. And in case you are requiring, what you can do is, you can go to my website. I've already told you that we have started a website, www.caprofessionalacademy.com. I've given you the timetable on that. All the lectures are given on that. Okay. So, caprofessionalacademy.com. I have given you updates. It will come in the updates. Your timetable for this week has been given up till Friday. So you can just go through that. Okay. Timings are the same, 10 o'clock in the morning and 6:30 in the evening. If there is any change, I will let you know through the website. Fine. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.